Thanks for stopping by at Twisted Art Designs. Are you ready to get started on our project? We've got our 4 sets glued together, and I'm going to show you real quick how I glue my sets to make them nice and flat, and then I'll show you the process for my idea. So let's get started and have some fun with our Julie Nutting paper dolls. As I'm sure most of you have realized, that YouTube is just flooded with all kinds of artists that make altered books and art journaling and all kinds of craft projects. And everybody has their own style and their own way of doing things. So best thing I've done is to just watch a lot of people, learn from a lot of people, use my own creativity, take bits and pieces of it, put it together to create my own process and find out what works for me. So what I'm showing here is what works for me, and it's my process of how I do it. So some of it may seem similar to other people's methods, and it could be just from inspiration and learning from others. We all inspire each other and learn techniques by being taught techniques. So I'm going to teach you my techniques and ideas, and let's get started. I have wax paper, a card, a brush, my Mod Podge, and my book. And then for my sets, what I do is I apply the Mod Podge not just to the front of the page, I do both sides. So I put a thin layer on both sides. I put the wax paper behind the page like this. Then I put the pages together and I start at the crease of the book and I work my way out, pushing down really, really hard to get all that excess to come creeping out the edges. The wax paper will stay in place, and I can move on to the next set with another piece of wax paper. And then what I do is put something heavy on it and then let them dry for a day. Open up the book and you're going to have really super flat pages. So I hope you've created your 4 sets, and now let's move on to the next step. So here is my book with my 4 sets glued, waiting to be dried. And look at how thin they came out. So I put the Mod Podge on them, and I went from the corner and I squeegee it all the way out and make them nice and flat. I keep the wax paper in between the sets. And then what I also like to do is flip the book this way, stand it up like this, and push down on, while it's still wet, push down and really smooth with your finger those pages. Otherwise, when you close up your book, there's going to be a wrinkle at the base, one little bend at the base here, and then a nice flat page. And when you look at your book from the top, it'll look like a half C and then the page coming down. So I like to do that, and when I do that, I realize, wow, if I had let it dry that way, it would have dried in a weird state. So stand your book base up and push down here, then close the book, and then put something heavy on it and leave it for 24 hours and let it dry. Okay, now that we have our 4 sets complete, we're going to move on to the next step. And once you take your heavy weight off the top, you should have nice flat pages if you followed those steps on how to do pages. It works really, really well. And you just take that paper off, and now I've got my 4 sets that I'm going to create into my beginning of my book. So my idea for the first part of the book is going to be girls on the edge. Us women, we're always on the edge. We're on the edge of sanity. We're on the edge of stress levels with jobs and careers, families, kids, husbands, relationships, money, finances, a little bit of everything. I think we all have stresses, and sometimes we're always on the edge. So I'm going to create Girls on the Edge. So let's get started. So what I want to do is, you want to go through your Julie Nutting stamps, and I'm super excited to have these to play with. I received some from Tammy. Thank you, Tammy, so much for sending me some of these beautiful stamps from my Amazon wish list to play with. And then my brother gave me some for Christmas. So I'm really excited to do this project. Now, if you only have a few stamps, you only have a few of these, you can always do a reverse stamp image. So what you do with that, say you only have a few, what you want to do with that is to ink this stamp And if you have a jelly plate, you're going to take that stamp and you're going to ink it onto the jelly plate, and then turn your jelly plate over and press your jelly plate onto your paper or your page or whatever, and you're going to get a reversed stamped image of this girl. So she's going to be facing the opposite way. So you could use the same girl, use her in different ways and make her look totally different. Put a different dress on her instead of a short dress, make her dress longer, put some lace down here at the edge of it. Do her hair maybe in a different color on each one. Put a hat on one, change them up, and then you could use that stamp and make it look like two different girls. So that's one way to extend your stamps if you only have a couple of the images to play with. Another thing I heard is that there are places online where you can find digital images. So I guess that people have stamped them and then they're selling the digital images, which I'm not sure how kosher that is, but so that's another way maybe to find some Julie nutting images. But for this first project, what we're going to do with our 4 sets is we're going to have girls on the edge and they're going to be stacked. So you want to pick images like this is my skinniest, most narrow image. This is Marisol, and she's narrow, so she's going to be the front image on the first set. And then I think I might do Priscilla on the second one, Fiona on the third one, and then Audrey on the last one because she's the widest image. I wanted to use a wide image on the 4th set. So what you want to do is put them in order to how you're going to put them on the pages. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to start with number 4. So I'm going to just flip that over. And I'm going to flip to my 4th section. And she is going to go on number 4. So you can take a clip and clip these out of the way if that helps you. I use these little metal clips. I'll put a link in the description box for those. They're awesome. They're great for when you're gluing things and you want to just have something hold it in place while it gets glued. They're great for something like this where you can clip these pages and clip them out of the way while you work on this one. So on page number 4, I'm going to put the widest image at the edge of the book. So I want to and I think I might even have her come out to the edge. Now, that's going to be personal preference, and these are your books, so you decorate them any way you want to. Use any of the Julie nutting stamps. You don't have to have the same stamps as I do. I'm telling you the names of the ones I'm using, so you can maybe search for them. If I can find the links to them through Amazon, I'll link them in the description box so that you'll have a link. With Amazon, I am an Amazon affiliate, so I get a few pennies, just a few little chinkly pennies in my pocket when somebody buys something from an Amazon link of something I've suggested. So, but anyway, use whatever stamps you have, and it's up to you whether or not you want everything in your book to be within and inside the book, or if you want things to stick out from your book. Totally up to you. Preference for me, I think I like the image sticking out, but I don't think I'm going to like it sticking out so terribly much. So I may change that up, and I think I may switch them. In fact, I think I'm going to do that. She's going to be number 3. And Fiona is going to be number 4. So Fiona is kind of more straight up and down. So she's going to go right on this book edge. I may have a little bit of her hair sticking out. That would be okay. I wouldn't mind that at all. With the book closed, it's kind of cute. It won't look bad at all. And with some of the other things that I do, there may be things sticking out on the edges. But I want her as close to the edge as I can get her. So that's where she's going to go. And what we want to do first, obviously, is to create some backgrounds. So we're going to put the stamps aside for a little bit, and we're going to create 4 backgrounds. And backgrounds are your choice too. So you kind of want to look at your dolls, and you want to decide what you want your backgrounds to look like. Each one can be totally different. They can be all the same type of backgrounds with just color and stenciling, maybe some positive sayings, some words, or each one could have images in the background, like she could be standing in a garden. There's a butterfly and flowers on her set, And so she could be standing maybe in a garden, and you could make this whole page look like a garden and have maybe a garden saying on the page. So it's totally up to you how you create your backgrounds. I'm going to just show you some fun techniques that I like to use for putting down the base layers, and then you can build on it from there of whether or not you want to put a picket fence, a garden, houses, furniture. You know, another fun thing with these is to take images out of a magazine and do a collage, make it look like a room, and have a couch. So you fussy cut out a couch out of a magazine, and you do a nice background and make it look like wallpaper. So in fact, we're going to do one like that because I think that would be super fun, and then put some furniture in there. So let's do that on this first background. Let's create a room. So I'm going to put my stamps aside for now, and we're going to work on this page background. So this is a piece of plastic. I use it over and over again. It's got all kinds of paints and inks and things on it. I usually use it to put underneath the page you're working on, so that way none of the paint's going to slop over onto the edges or onto the next page. Totally up to you. I'm just showing you my process. And I think what I'm going to start with is some white gesso and a brayer. So I'm going to just take my brayer and I'm going to roll it through the gesso, and I'm going to put gesso on this page, and I'm going to do it kind of randomly. I like the book text showing, doesn't bother me. I think it's kind of adds interest. What I'm creating is kind of making some stucco walls because we're going to create a room. So I'm just going to gesso this and then let it dry, and then I'm going to do the same thing, I think, with some paints. So adding my layer of gesso, rollering it on, and then I'm going to let that dry, and we'll come back and add some paint. While that's drying, I'm going to go through my magazines, and I'm going to look for some furniture. So you can find all kinds of great stuff, like look at that cute lamp. That would be gorgeous. I think I love that lamp. So I'm going to pull that out. And just look for all kinds of things. And I have a folder here that I keep in my file cabinet, and it is furniture and lamps and household items. I just tear them out when I see them and throw them in a file so I can look through this too and find some really cute things. Here's a cute chair. That chair would be really cute. And the lamp on a table maybe. So there's just cute stuff. I'm going to look through here and see what I can find to create my room. Here's a cute plant stand with a plant. What could you find to put on your page for making a room? So that's the next step, is find some images and fussy cut them out. It's so hard to decide when you're looking through magazines and books and things, but I like to take my girl and hold it up to the images. I love this bookcase and chair, and that looks really cute. So I think I am going to use those on this page. And I'm not going to leave the background in. That's just my choice. I'm going to trim it all out and just leave the chair and the bookcase, and then do more decoration on the page. But when you're looking, look for things like pictures on the wall, clocks. You can cut those things out and add them to your wall and have a clock on the wall, or a framed picture, or a plant. And don't forget things like lamps. This is a ceiling lamp. That would be really cute, and have it come down and hanging from the ceiling into your picture too. So look for things like that when you see lamps and tables and couches and all kinds of fun stuff. Images like this are great to use for pictures on the wall. It's like an advertisement for an art gallery. And if you cut these out, these would make great for collage to add a picture to the wall in your room. So these are just some fun ideas of things to look for. These are the images that I've decided on. So here's the chair with the bookcase. I have a picture for the wall, a plant on a plant stand, another plant in a vase that's going to go down here. And then my girl is going to go on the edge right here. So she's going to be like standing in front of this bookcase. So when you do that, you can see that a lot of your background is going to be covered by images from your collage. My background, I'm going to do just in a cream colored paint, and then I'm going to draw lines to make this an actual room. So I'm going to do that next, to just paint page in cream colored acrylic paint. And I just applied one thin coat. You could apply two if you wanted it to be really solid. I can kind of see the book text through, but hey, this is an altered book and I kind of like that the book text shows through. So I'm going to just leave one thin coat and now I'm going to let this dry. And don't panic if your pages start to curl or wrinkle a little bit when you add things like matte gel medium, Mod Podge, collage images, paints, because trust me, as we layer this and get things on the page, it will flatten back out again. So don't worry about that. Okay, so next thing I want to do, I'm going to create the lines that'll create this room. And what I mean by that is I'm going to put a line about 3/4 of the way down on this left side with a ruler. So I'm just going to line it up here. And I'm just going to go to about here and create a line. And then from that line, I'm going to go down to this corner. Maybe even off the page. I think I'm even going to go off the page for more perspective. I'm going to go from there. And then I'm going to go straight across here. Do I want to go straight? Or do I want to go curved? Yeah, I'm going to go straight. Okay, so what you're doing is I'm just creating lines that are going to create what is like, that is now the corner of the room, and here's the floor. So see how that looks? Now it looks like a room instead of just straight. So those are my lines to create the room, and now the next thing I'm going to do is to, you could, if you want background and you want to make like wallpaper, you can draw little lines. You can make wallpaper on the walls. In fact, let's do that for something fun to do. Let's create wallpaper. I like to use Tombow Mono drawing pens. I've tried every other pen on the market too. Microns are okay. Tombows really work the best for me as far as not being very permanent. So that's what I like to use. And so I'm going to just draw those lines in pen. Just going to come back in and create those lines in pen. And then I'm going to create some wallpaper on the wall. You know, wallpaper, people used to use a lot of wallpaper with patterns. So that's kind of a fun thing. A fun thing to create. I mean, we're making a room and we're making it fun and interesting. So why not? Okay, so now I'm going to come across here and I'm going to come across and I'm going to, at the top, put a mark, probably, let's go 1/2 inch. Is that going to be enough? Yeah, 1/4 inch for me is too small. I'm going 1/2 inch because I want to make a design in there. So I'm just going to put a little dot at every 1/2 inch mark with my ruler across the page. And then I'm going to come back in and do the same down here. So I'm going just from this corner, in the wall corner, and I'm going to come down here and do the same thing. Put a little dot, and you know, they don't have to be perfect. This is an altered book. It's just for fun. If they're not perfection, don't sweat it. If your lines aren't perfectly even or straight, don't worry about it. It's fun. We've got to make it fun. If we don't, what's the point, right? Okay, so now I'm going to come in and now I'm going to just create those lines. So I'm going to add a dot to dot, go dot to dot, and join the dots and draw my lines down the page with pencil. So here are my cute little wallpaper lines, and now I'm going to go in with a fine liner. This is just a Stabilo 0.88 fine liner in brown. You could do them in black, you could do whatever you want, but for me, I want my wallpaper to be like creams and browns and have a pattern in it. So I'm going to just make my lines now in pen, so they're going to be brown on the wall instead of black, and then I'm going to erase my pencil lines as best I can. I made the pencil lines as light as I could. So we're essentially becoming interior designers, creating our room, which is really kind of fun. You're going to enjoy this as it comes together. You're going to really like this. So now I want to decorate my wallpaper. You can do it by hand, making some little patterns within the wallpaper, or you can leave it striped and maybe do, you know, blue and then green, then blue, then green stripes to have striped wallpaper. Do whatever you want to do to create your fun wallpaper. But if you have any little itty bitty miniature stamps like these work great for something like this, for creating a pattern within your wallpaper. So I'm going to use archival ink in Vintage Photo and Coffee to create my images, and I'm going to just eyeball it because I'm not really looking for total perfection here. It's going to be hidden behind other things, but I just want to do the basics. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to stamp my little image down my wallpaper stripes. Oh, it's so cute. I like it already. Look how cute that looks. You know, and I may leave every other one plain and go in between. So in between it, instead of lining it up, I'll do an in between. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but look how cute that's going to be for wallpaper. Super cute. So I don't even think I'm going to use that other stamp or the other color of ink. I love how this looks. So I'm going to just go with this. And if you don't have little mini stamps, doodle something. Doodle some dots. Doodle some little cherries with leaves. Doodle something and make a wallpaper pattern. You can also use pattern paper, but I like doing it right on the page. It's just artsy and fun to try. I have to pay attention to what I'm doing and not talk while I do it, or I will do the wrong thing. Okay, so there's my cute wallpaper. I love it. Love it. It's so cute. So now what I'm going to do is fussy cut out the other images and then decide what I want to put on this wall. And as I start to lay out my images that I'm going to use, I have this framed flower picture that just came off of a magazine image. I'm going to put that, I think, on this wall like that. I think what I want to do, for me, I love to have colors carry throughout my layouts. So when I look over here, what's the first color my eye catches? Either the navy blue in the books or this really dark rust, and there's rust in the chair. So I think I'm going to go with this dark rusty color. And what I'm going to do is paint this wall that dark rusty color to create cohesiveness on my layout. And now I think I'm going to go with a yellow ochre for the flooring for the carpet and just put some yellow ochre because that's in the picture as well. It's in this colors. It just will really pull this room together. So I'm going to paint that a yellow ochre. Here's what it looks like with the floor painted. And now I'm just going to let that totally dry. And then I'll be ready to do my collaging my images into the room. And I don't usually use a heat tool because usually when you use a heat tool and you heat up acrylic paint, you can get bubbles in it. It can cause wrinkles in your pages. I just like to be patient and let it air dry. So here are my images cut out and laid out on the page. But before you put them down with matte gel medium, here's the next thing you've got to remember. On this next page, it's going to get cut. So what you need to do for the next page is flip this over. Before you Mod Podge your images down, is you're going to flip this over, decide which one of your girls is going to go on this page. And for me, it's going to be this one. She's going to go here. So And I want her little dress to come right into the crease. So this much of this page is going to get cut off. So there's going to be a lot that's going to get cut off in that room. And so I want to mark that now. So what I'm going to do is just take my girl's stamp, and I use my Ranger Dilutions journaling block as a stamp platform for my girls. There's one that you can buy from Prima, but it's pretty expensive. So this works out just fine, and I already have it, so why purchase something you don't need? So I've inked that side. I'm going to put her in place. I think I want her tipped this way slightly because I want her to show. So I think I'm going to put her about right there. Okay, so now I can see that edge. So now what I'm going to do is take my scissors and I'm going to pick up that whole piece. I know we did this beautiful thing here and some of it's going to disappear, but that's okay. You can go from here. I think I'm going to go from here instead of going right along her legs. I'm going to cut straight up here. I'm not worrying about what's on the other side. In fact, I don't even want to look at that right now, because then you're going to get all freaked out like, oh my gosh, I just did this beautiful wall and I did all these things and now I'm cutting it off. That's part of altered bookmaking. So I'm cutting this edge out. So this is a really important step, because if you put all that Mod Podge beautiful stuff on the other page and then cut it all off and you didn't see any of it, you'd be really bummed out. So straight up from that, I'm going to cut this. I'm going to cut her arm, where she's going to go. And I think I will cut her waist like that. All right, so that's where she's going to go. And now here is what's left on this page. I know you think that looks funny, but that's okay. Oh, and in fact, our little room corner disappeared, my room corner, but it's okie doke. It's all right. So now when I lay this back out, it tells me that I want to move those in, obviously. And this will go here. These will go here. Maybe like this. And lay those out. And now I'm going to apply those to the page with matte gel medium. And your girl on here is going to go right on this edge. So I can figure out where I want that to go and where she's going to cover a lot of that. So let's kind of like pull it out and decide I want that little globe to show. So that's where that's going to go. And then she's going to go right on this edge here with a little bit of her hair sticking out. So that tells me where I want to put that image down. I can just mark it with a pencil that that's the edge where it's going to go. Because what I like to do for putting down images, the method I find that works best is to apply a thin layer to the back of your magazine image and a thin layer to your page, and you're not going to get as many wrinkles. And I just started using the Crafter's Workshop matte gel medium. I used to always boast about TriArt, and I've switched to Crafter's Workshop. I mentioned that in a recent video, and I absolutely love this, and I'll show you why as I do it. So I'm going to just go and put a thin layer on here. Magazine images can be tricky, so when you're putting a wet medium like this on a magazine image, it might curl, it might wrinkle, it might give you fits. This is what works the best. So I put a thin coat on the back of the magazine image and a thin coat on where it's going to go on the book. And I put it in place. And then I press it down, smooth it out a little bit, and go over the top with a thin layer, pushing down so I'm getting a really good, nice, tight. When I come to this part of the book, I just take my finger and press it down into the crease and then fold it over the page like that. No problemo. So then the image goes from one page to the next. You've got an edge that's coming up, just get some underneath there. Make sure you press everything down really well. If you're starting to get a wrinkle this is getting a wrinkle just because it's on a crease, just work it out with your finger. And look how nice and smooth that is. And this matte gel medium, I'll tell you what, it is so nice. When it dries, it's pretty nice. It's pretty awesome. It doesn't hardly even show. So I'm going to put this little painting on the wall, put some in the back, put some on the wall, put it in place, go over the top. Easy peasy, lemon squeeze. Oh, cute. It's really cute. And this little fine image, you just have to be careful if you've got something delicate. Like this piece is quite delicate. And I love putting images on the pages. I think it's so fun. Okay, so that's in place. And now let's do my little flower pot. And this is just collaging and creating a visual image. Love it. Okay. I'm going to let those dry. Looks good. Before you do all your wallpaper and things, do the lines like we did, you could put your image on the next page and cut it so that you know what you're going to put on this page, because I would have probably done the line of the room a little bit different to still make it look like a corner, but that's okay. And I may paint this cream color and make these same wallpapers, because it'll probably look better than what I've got here. So it's just the way that it turned out, but it's not a problem. Okay, now for your girl, what you want to do with your girl image is, I like to do these on cardstock instead of right into the book. I'm going to do it in cardstock. I'm going to layer it, decorate it up, make it really super cute, and then I'm going to glue her into place on the book, and then I'm going to cut the edge. So that's what I'm going to do next, is stamp her. I'm going to stamp her on a cream color cardstock for the flesh color in her. Then I'm going to stamp on probably some pattern paper, maybe some blue paper to make the jeans. Just keep stamping it over and over and cutting it out, and then gluing her and layering her hair and her pieces together. And then I'll show you what I did for decorating, and then I'll add her to the page, cut her out, and move on to the next step. I thought maybe you'd like to see how I'm layering my girl. So I did the basic base part of it in a cream color cardstock, the whole image, so that when I cut the other pieces out and I glue it directly to her, she becomes one solid piece. Her shirt is out of this really cool pattern paper, so I inked just her blouse and stamped that. Her jeans, I inked her jeans in a archival ink in Seafarer, so they're going to be blue jeans. And then her head, for her hair, I did brown cardstock. So that's what I did for layering, and I'm going to cut it out and start assembling. As I'm cutting each piece out, I'm gluing it onto the base. And now with the jeans, it was white cardstock, so I used alcohol markers to just color in the jeans. And now I'm going to use a water brush and some Caran d'Ache Neo Color 2 in blue jean. And I'm just going to tip it off the crayon and come in here and do some more coloring with this and blending. I love Neo colors. And so I'm just going to kind of do some shadowing. Neon colors are just so fun. Look how cute that looks. Just that little bit of neo color. And see how it just really makes it look like blue jeans. So I'm going to play around with that and keep going. And then I have an idea for her little vest. Okay, so I need to trim this off at the top, even with the page. You can see it better from the back side. Okay. Now for your girl on the edge. Instead of just cutting this whole girl out and then trying to match it and cut this edge, you're going to do it all at one time. So I know where she's going to go on the page. And so what I'm going to do is just from the tip of her toe, I'm going to make a line straight down like that. And from up here on her head, I'm going to make a line straight down to her head like this. The side that's going to go on the page that doesn't get cut, go ahead and trim that out. So I'm going to come around here and trim her out. Now I'm going to take a brush pen and I'm going to go along this edge because you guys know me, I don't like white edges. So I'm going to use a brush pen on this white edge and get rid of it. It's not white, it's cream, but it still sticks out like a sore thumb. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue on the back of this. And I'm going to use art glitter glue because that's what I like best. You guys can use whatever you want to use. And I'm going to put glue along this edge. And then I'm going to hold it up to the light so I can see through it, through the back side. If you hold it up, let me see if I can show you. Nope, I can't show you in the light, but I'm going to hold it up to the light so that I can see where the other parts of her are to put glue on. Okay, and my reason for doing this, you're probably wondering, what the heck is this girl doing? My reason for doing this is then when you put it down along the edge, you're going to trim the page of the book. I'm going to put her where I want her. I wanted that globe to show. So I think I'm going to put her right here. And I'm going to push her into place. And I'm going to let that dry. Now what I want to do is I'm going to trim it out. So I can come back in here and we're right up to her toe and go around the edge. So you're cutting her and the edge of that book text page, you know, those pages that you glued together, you're cutting them all at one time. So then you're going to get a really super nice seam. Instead of cutting one and then trying to cut around it a second time, you cut it all at one time and it makes the edge nice and finished and cuts the girl out, cuts the edge of the page out. Let's cut that away so it's not so cumbersome. And then so you're just going to carefully cut around her. And you can turn your book if you need to. So now what you've got is your girl on the edge. Look how cute that is. Girl on the edge, and it's part of the page. And I'm going to add some more things to this page. I think to cover this up, I'm going to put a heart here and put the words "home is where the heart is." I think I'm going to paint this to make it look like the wallpaper. I may add a little dog down here, or I might even do a rug. I'm going to play around with this. My idea for the vest, let me show you that real quick. So for this cute little vest, I love that vest that comes with this girl. I'm going to do that in archival ink, and what I'm stamping it on is vellum paper. So I'm going to stamp it and cut it out of vellum paper. And then when I put it over her, see how you can see it through? It looks like she's got a little sheer vest over her outfit. I love that. So I'm going to add that to her and play around with this. And that'll end this page. And then I can kind of show you. I'm sure you're going to see where we're going here. This next girl is going to overlap that girl. And I technically probably should have gone over a little even farther with her. I didn't want to hide her, but I think she could have been moved over a little further. One thing you can do is start at the very beginning and stamp on your skinniest girl and cut that edge. Then on the next page, put your next doll in place a little further out, stamp her edge and cut that out. Stamp this one and cut this one out, because what you want them to do is this is going to be a really skinny little flap with one girl, and then she's going to overlap the next girl and the next girl and the next girl. So when you open the book, you're going to see the girls on all 4 pages. So that'd probably be the best way to go. I think I did it backwards. I thought I should start in the back and work forward, but technically get your skinniest girl and work forward to back. And if you stamp her just one edge of her first, closest here, and cut that out up to the top, just, you know, cut this page away in the shape of the girl. Then when you lay it over and you put the next one down, you're going to see exactly where she needs to be to show behind, and you can stamp her edge and cut it out. And then you can come back and decorate your pages, because you know you're going to decorate your girl and glue her on last. So I hope you enjoyed doing a collage and making a bedroom or a room for your girl. That was kind of fun. These other backgrounds are going to be totally different. So for the next video, I'm going to cut this one off, and the next video will be decorating the next background and doing the next girl to show you what ideas I have for those backgrounds and for decorating those girls. So I hope you like this concept, and that it's going to be super cute when they're all laid out and you have your girls on the edge. So see, technically this girl comes to here on the edge, and I really think she should be further over, like about here, because then her elbow's going to be right here, but you can still see this girl, and it gives you the room for the other 2 girls. So like I said, you're going to have to just lay it out and play around, but since I'm gluing this girl on the edge, it's not going to matter. This kind of just gave me an idea of where it's going to go. I cut away more than I needed to, but technically not really. I could glue it right to this line that I've created and glue her into place right there a little bit over. So you get the idea that your concept is that you want each one to overlap the other, but when all 4 pages are closed and you open the book, you're going to see all 4 girls on their pages. Here's what it looks like with the little vellum vest. I love it because you can see her blouse and her jeans and her hands through it. Isn't that cute? I love that. I did some charcoal pencil and used a little scrubber brush to blend it out to make some cast shadows on the floor. And I did paint a little bit of cream colored paint over those dark spots because I didn't like it. So I changed that. And I'm probably going to add a saying on here for like, my home is my castle, or home is where my heart is, or something like that. But I'm going to wait and put those kind of things in later and see what feels right as I create more in the book. But so for now, there's my first page with my girl on the edge. And I just wanted to mention that that stamp's name was Fiona. So go play around with this and have some fun, because art soothes the heart.